Welcome to another episode of the Holistic Sister Circle. In today's conversation, it's not about winning an argument or choosing sides. It's about slowing down long enough to explore the tension between two truths and noticing what lives in the middle of these truths. We're talking about Christmas consumerism versus Christmas spirit. So, this is not about judging anyone, but it's all about how anyone celebrates. It's about how to understand what's happening under pressure, presence, obligation, and meaning showing up during this season. So, my role here today is just to guide the conversation, reflect patterns I'm hearing, and help us explore where the happy medium lives, or excuse me, where the happy medium lives. So, super excited for this conversation and cannot wait to dive into it. Now, our first question is, when it comes to Christmas, where do you personally feel the most tension or mixed emotion? Tanya, I'm going to have you go first, and then Patrice, I'm going to have you come back and answer the question as well.
Yeah, so I think if you're a parent with children, the pressure to buy the gifts, have the tree, like all the things, like, it's just this thing that we're just kind of born into and we don't question it, and so then once you're sort of caught up in that expectation, it's really hard to break free from, and I really, for me as a parent, like, I just look back at all the times where my kids got these toys that it just seems like such a waste of resources. It's, stuff that they get that maybe they play with a couple times and they don't play with ever again. Like that kind of stuff really started to get to me. And yeah, it just seems crazy to me that, um, for example, we've just created a situation in our culture where, now we even have nonprofits that are created to make sure that children from underserved families or whatever get gifts. So it's like, the fact that children have to get some kind of material gift, it's like there's no question of like, okay, why are we doing this, um so that's kind of what I see that is a frustration, and just the expectation of it every year, even when like it's just kind of, at least in our family, it's that whole consumerist thing. It's lost its magic, maybe, or this specialness about it. It's like, it's Christmas time, got to get the presents, and it's not really coming from a place of joy and like genuine wanting to give. So that's what I notice.
So, what I'm hearing for you is there's a pattern here, and it's happening every year of, I need to hurry up and do this. I need to hurry up and do that. I need to hurry up and get these gifts. And we've lost the essence of what Christmas is supposed to be about.
Yeah.
And we're not in a position of presence, not presence as in like giving gifts, but just being present in the moment and enjoying one another's company and energy, and really being able to show up for each other just in a different way. It sounds like it's more of a rushed perspective, and we need to
Yeah,
hurry up
it's
and get
rushed
this
and it's
done.
laden with guilt. Like if you don't give the
Yeah.
presents, like you're a bad mom or you're a bad dad, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
the
Thank
children
you.
feel that too, like, the children, I feel like, kind of adopt that, like, if mom and dad don't give the presents, then somehow there's something wrong, or parents aren't measuring up, or, it's such a double-edged sword, yeah, I've had friends who have, really try to kind of break away from that, but what then the next layer of, or block that you have to move through is the grandparents. Oh, but the grandparents want to, like, give gifts, and you're just like, "Oh my god, can we just stop?" Yeah, there's just like, how do you fight it? And so I think most people just go like, "Ugh, whatever," and then roll their eyes, and yeah, it loses that special Christmas spirit, right? Of
Yeah.
well, what does that mean really? What is the season about? And I do love the vibe of the longer nights and the dark and the quiet and, coming together in the quiet, like that I love, but all the other stuff I could do without.
No, I hear you on that one. I hear you. Patrice, what do you think? I'm going to ask the question again just for those who are just tuning in. When it comes to Christmas, where do you personally feel the most tension or mixed emotion?
But for me, and this has just been happening, there has been so many events happening that you're invited to. And these events, you need to purchase a new outfit. You need to bring gifts. There's so much, even if it's not bringing gifts, okay, we've got to bring the food, we've got to do this and do that. And I found that, especially during this time, and it was like, no, I don't want to. And I have had a couple of, right now I'm in a season there, a couple of things I'm focusing on. And I remember like Thanksgiving, I was doing a personal fast, and there was so much food. I was invited to a big spread. And so I literally had to say no. And I've had to say no a couple of times. And it can feel pressurizing because it's like, why is she saying no all of a sudden, all of it, you're party pooper. And the pressure of having to, people wanting you to explain, but why not? When you just want to take it a bit slower. There's some things that are going on in my life. I'm processing. I'm looking at things a bit differently. As I get older, I am examining things more, and everybody's not at that same place. And so that can feel pressurizing. Um, Also, for me, pressurizing during this stage, again, is the culture expectation of the giving of the tree, of the all that's around surrounding the Christmas spirit, when for me it is so much more personal, as far as understanding the real purpose and the original intent for the season. So kind of keeping everybody back with that, and not wanting to not be a party pooper, but wanting to always also respect where I am at, what I believe, and not allowing everybody's expectations to influence me so that I can't be a party pooper, if you understand what I'm saying. Because,
Mhm.
there's an expectation, and it's like, no, I don't want to. So that's it.
Yeah.
That's the frustration for me.
Yeah, and it sounds like for both of you, it's pressure, expectations. What would you say to someone who, because again, we all feel it, right? Like even those who are listening and watching right now, if you would love to share in the comment section in the chat with us, like what are some expectations that you even feel around just the season, and what does that look like, and what do you feel like you
Mhm,
have to go run and do, or someone's depending on you to do this thing, or you feel guilty if you don't do it,
mhm.
you know? Patrice, if you were to just even have a conversation with your younger self, for example, and you say, you've gone through this year over year over year of the pressures, of the expectations of other people and their events, what would you say to her? Like, what kind of advice would you give her if she's in that state of just feeling pressure and expectations for the season?
I would tell my younger self, focus on the real reason for the season. And regardless of what anybody says or feels, you be true to what you know is true. And for me, the purpose, as I reflected, and I've really been reflecting on the real meaning of Christmas, the fact that the Son of God came into this world. And because he wanted to restore the relationship between God and man, it was an amazing sacrifice. It was a sacrifice of love. And when I think about that, and when I process that, that I was included in that, when I process that, I realize that that's a beautiful thing. The gifts coming around as family and having fun, and the trees and all that. Oh, yes, those are good things that happen. But what happened to the original intent, why we began this whole Christmas season? I began to think earlier, over 2,000 years ago, there was humanity was not celebrating a Christmas holiday. But now that we are, how come we are so far from it? How come we're not honoring it? And that's where I am at in my life, understanding. And I guess as you get older, you want to pick up things and you want to look at it. What does this really mean? Why have I been doing this all my life? Why have I been following a trend and a culture? What is the truth behind it? Can I identify with it? And if I identify with it, then can I align myself to be true with this truth that I know? Or do I go with the crowd because it's what we've always been doing? And so that's where, for me, I'm at, being true to what I know this season is all about.
Mm, yeah, I hear you. So the biggest thing here is in the pattern that I'm hearing consistently with you too is why? Why are we doing this? What is the meaning
Yeah.
behind
How did
this?
we get here?
How did we get here? And one of the things that I would love for both of you to share as well is like, what are some things that you're doing now so you don't feel the pressure, the frustration, the expectations of the season and all that it brings?
I know for me, for years, I don't do the Christmas tree anymore. Um, I don't do a lot of those things. And as now I have adult children, I don't have grands as yet, but I have been really processing it. How am I going to deal with my grandchildren with this Christmas? Because the culture dictates consumerism, the Christmas tree, the Santa Claus, the reindeer. And I've literally been planning that, okay, instead of the Christmas tree and whatnot, I'm going to do a manger scene. I'm going to, because I find that we can say no to one thing, but we have to be able to, especially now with kids, we're gonna have to give another give something else. And for me, that's what I've made up my mind to do. That's how I've changed. And I have decided a culture that I've grown up with, that's all around the world. um, I am going to do it differently for my grandchildren when they come along as a grandmother, which I'm not yet, but
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. Tanya, what
Yeah.
about you?
Oh gosh. What am I doing differently? I'm not doing the tree either. I don't even I
yeah.
went from like we would go out and like harvest a tree. We live in the forest. We'll get a tree. when my kids were younger, and then we're like, oh my gosh, forget that. It's all messy. Let's get a fake tree. So we literally had a fake tree for a while. Got it
Mhm.
off of Craigslist, you know. So,
Mhm.
and then and then it was like, oh my God, I hate this thing so much. So I was like, so I put up a laundry line in my living room and I just hung ornaments on on the line. I'm like, that's there's my Christmas, you know.
Yeah.
And even that, like now I don't even have that happening. I'm just like, I just cannot like, so, but here's what I want to say about all this. And this is something I think is what I know I'm hungry for, and what I think most people are hungry for is that we it is important to have, you know, these celebrations, right? Or these moments where we take time out to have something special, because right, that's how we create memories, right? But what's happening, I feel like nowadays, it's like, you know, people people are addicted to their phones. People form of entertainment is, you know, watching movies or going out to drink, or, you know, things like this. And it's very flat, right? It's just kind of, there's this sense of, you know, it's like the days just kind of blur into each other. And when we want to create an experience where we're receiving something, you know, that intimacy, that connection, um, we have to choose to create it. I mean, it's not given. It's not a given anymore. And I think that there's just sort of, yeah, the consumerism is sort of, I feel like it erodes away. Uh, I think it definitely, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like that connection with family or loved one or friends who you do want to share time with during this time. When you have that pressure of consumerism, um, it loses some authenticity. And I think that, you know, getting together and, you know, singing, or I don't know, sharing poetry, or, you know, being creative, like I feel like that's what's missing in what's just in the collective when it comes to Christmas. There's not a whole lot of um, creativity. It's just kind of like, I mean, you see it even on Facebook, right? Like I'm seeing this sort of viral thing going on where people are taking AI and turning themselves into some glitter jumpsuit, holding a like lollipop and a, you know, with Christmas trees behind them, like that kind of a thing. It's just like, you know, it's the absence of the sacred, right? And I think, Patrice, you're really talking about that, is that we've lost that sense of of what's sacred and what our hearts actually really yearn for, you know. And I do think that children especially yearn for that. And so we have to be the ones to model to them, like, how do you create something sacred so they know that it is special, and that is that gets lost for sure.
If I
Mm.
might add, as as you were saying, Tanya, you know what came to mind? Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable.
Mm.
Chaos, pandemonium happens. And I think we live in a time now where we're seeing that the purpose for the whole season has been, for so many persons, replaced with something else. And if you don't know the purpose for something, then you are not going to get the full benefits or the full effects of it. Um, and we have what we have. Not only do we have consumerism, um, but we have cultures that have been created. We are making up our own stories. Um, and again, one of the things that I want you to understand about me, I love joy, I love happiness, I love family coming together, I love all of that, and that's a good thing. But the bottom line is that is not that's not the purpose. That's not why the season, why this coming together, why this time of Christmas began. And the Christ child came. He came with an intent to redeem mankind back to God. And even though many may disregard it and replace it with the Santa Claus or the Christmas tree or the family gathering or the lights, the reason why we're moving so far away is because we're forgetting the original. We have forgotten. And just like Tanya said, our kids need to know the truth and the reality and the beauty behind the Christmas season. Love caused this whole Christmas season to be. And when we talk about love, it is such a beautiful thing when we know how to love. Love gives. And more than anything, we exchanging gifts a lot of times because we're looking for another, we're hoping to get a gift. But when love gives, there's no greater sacrifice, there's no greater gift than that a life is laid down. That's the highest level of love. And I think it's a time where we should be expressing and telling our kids about love, what love really means. When we begin to teach our kids about love and how love sacrifices and how love gives and how love is kind and love is considerate, um, I think then we even begin to create a better set of, or we put better things into our children instead of Santa coming down the chimney. And again, a lot of these things make people happy. But my question is this the original intent of the season? Is this the purpose of the season?
Mm, thank you for sharing that. What I'm hearing for this in this purpose as well is, and what I've also noticed is it starts with the children. And if the children don't have the container that they need in order to understand the purpose, the presence, the love, the the true understanding of what the season is all about, then essentially they continue to grow up and they continue to have those same patterns and beliefs in that system in their own families. And now what we've caused is generation to generation because no one's doing anything about it, no one is changing it. So I would love to know from both of you is when it comes to, and specifically for you Patrice because you brought this up, but when it comes to love and the presence of love and being able to share that with children, what would that look like? How would you communicate that?
Mhm. Um, I had an interesting experience that I am being challenged with, and I'm going to share it. And it's all about love. Um, when my kids were younger, let me just give that example first before I give an example of where I'm struggling with. When my kids were younger, we lived in another island, and I had an organization, and so during the Christmas, my organization had established itself where businesses and whatnot would give us ham and turkey and clothes and whatnot. And what we did was we gave away. We helped the poor, the hungry, families who were struggling, single mothers, men who were struggling, etc. And so I made sure my kids were there to give out and help. I made sure they did things to show other kids love. I made sure of that. And so, what I think it did, it taught them how to think about more than themselves. Um, yes, I have, but you know what? I could share. I can see a child over there. Mommy, this person doesn't have so and so. I want to give. I want to do. Um, we teach them love. We teach them love. It's a great time. Um, and there's a scripture that talks about, for God so loved the world that he gave. I think, again, it's a perfect time to give. And then by you asking that question, I'm feeling some issues. There is a gentleman who goes to my church, and he's having some issues, and he's being rejected and neglected. And my life has been so busy, so busy. And I remember he was saying to me to call him sometimes, or, there were some things he wanted. And then I'm thinking, oh God, if I add another thing to my schedule, my agenda. But even as we talk, as you said what you said, I'm reminded that's an act of love. Love even means sacrificing. There's an elderly gentleman who needs someone just to pick up the phone and say, hey, how are you? And I was thinking, you know what? At some point, even though my family's going to get together, I'm going to leave and I'm going to take him some food for Christmas. And for me, that I'm challenging myself outside of that busy, busy life, even in what I'm doing, to show love. So that's been my challenge as well.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Are you sure he isn't hitting on you?
Oh no, no, he isn't. He isn't.
I'm like,
He's
are you?
elderly, goes
Are
to church,
you?
lonely. When you hear his story, and
Yeah.
sometimes when their heydays, they did some things that now they're reaping the consequences. But he's lonely, and I'm one of those. I was younger. My brother used to tease me, "You love old people." I'd go to old folks' home and help out and whatnot. And I guess it's so fresh because it just happened. And I heard some of the stories and I felt it. But at the same time, while I was feeling his story, I was thinking, geez, I've got a lot to do. I've got a lot going on. But love many times is just plain sacrificing and not just thinking about yourself, but how can I help somebody else make their day a bit better?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Tanya, so I know for you, we ended off on just the frustration, the patterns, and really being present, and just some things you're doing differently now in the home. What are some things that you would like to implement in your home that create something sacred? What would that look like?
Well, I think it has to start with myself. You can't, I know that there are different ways that people can approach Christmas. I know that, for example, I have a very good friend who Christmas is her favorite time, and she takes it very seriously. Like, she does the whole, Advent, 12 days at Christmas, like all of that, and does the meditations and the prayers, and really goes deep into the spirit of it. And, I'll be frank, it's not something that I make time for. So if you're going to create something for the family, then yeah, it definitely has to start with you. And I definitely feel that pull of like wanting to, okay, like Patrice, I have to commend you for fasting during Thanksgiving because that is something that I feel like I do it every year. I'm like, why do I do this? I feel like crap afterwards. I'm like, just as soon as I'm recovered, then it's Christmas time. You gotta like feed your face again. You're just like, oh no, just you're like, stop, I can't eat anymore. Um, yeah, I think that yeah, and with in my home, like I think what for me, at least what I've have felt inspired to do, With the younger kids, what they love are stories. So, telling the special story that you only tell at Christmas time, for example, that has a lot of meaning, that just, enlivens their spirit and creates that sense of the sacred, lighting a candle. It can be very simple, just lighting a candle. It doesn't have to be this elaborate thing, but just like, we're going to be quiet and I'm going to tell you the story. Um, Now, like with my kids are older now. I have a 22-year-old, and you know, he's over the gift giving as well. He's just like, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
but I feel like what would be a wonderful gift to give him is to, handwrite a letter, for example, you know, so that when he receives it and it's coming from my heart and how I see him and how I celebrate him and how I'm thankful for him and, you know, just being seen, that's a huge gift, something that he can keep for the rest of his life if he wanted to.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
that kind of a thing, what is precious? So it doesn't have to externally look like any particular way. It could even be just say, having everyone stop for a moment and just say, hey, everybody, there's something I really want to say to all of you. And just speak from your heart, right? It can be as simple as that. Some people like to get more into the elaborate, like my friend with the 12 days of Christmas and all the things. Like, you can get into that and going deeper into all the symbology and everything, and um, the spiritual aspects of it that maybe take a little more effort in learning about and reading about and all of that. But yeah, that's what I would say. I think just something simple where you just you tidy up the home, you clear the space, maybe you light a candle, and maybe you just share some stories or share what's on your heart. And that is, again, it's like, it's creating the memories. It's what we can remember, right? Like, when we're in consumer mode, it's like, when you remember, I don't, you don't remember the stupid gift you got so and so or whatever it is, like that, it just kind of disappears, and
Yeah, you
there's no,
got it because you had to. Yes.
yeah, there's nothing special about it.
Yeah. Yeah. For me too, as well, this Christmas, one of my family, we're getting together. And one of the things too, that I wanted to do, my son has a friend who is from somewhere else. And I had told him, okay, let him come over for Christmas dinner. I like to do things like that too, where a person who would not normally have that kind of environment, that family environment, to come and celebrate with us. I remember the first time I did it, the young lady, she was blown away. I think her mother had died and she was living with other family. So to see my family come together, we had fun, we were laughing, and she found that so amazing. And the last time I saw her, she spoke about that. But also for me this time, one of the things that I'm adding is and Tanya talked about the story. I decided, you know what, I'm going to make sure we read the scriptures surrounding the purpose for the season. So, usually when we come, my brother comes and everybody comes, everybody's ready to eat. I mean, when I say we have a spread, we have a spread. Prepare to put on weight. But this time, I'm going to make sure we stop and we hear. We listen to the story about why this has happened and just give honor to where it's due. And then, we go into our having our family fun time. And, we have a great time together as a family, a great time. We call others who are far off, and, we do all of that good stuff. But I
I
wanted
like
to add
that.
that this year as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you both so much just for sharing because I think it's important that, for again, for those who are listening, we've all been there, we all feel it, but do we talk about it? Is the question. No, we internalize
Yeah.
it. We keep going on with our day. So if you feel that tug and that pull to create something new, to create a different environment, and knowing what Tanya had said, it starts with you, take time, figure out what that looks like. It doesn't have to be this extravagant thing right away if you don't want it to be or ever. It's just one simple gesture, one thing that moves you closer to what you believe is memorable, what you believe is on purpose, and what you believe is creating something sacred. So I would say for this particular episode, we've come to a happy medium. We understand that within all of the things that are happening around Christmas and consumerism versus Christmas and the spirit, that number one, focusing on creating something that's sacred. And number two, understanding the beauty behind the season and the purpose of why it was created in the first place. Actually, starting there will even help you determine what would be that sacred something. So I definitely appreciate both of you for sharing that. Now, before we end for today's episode, I would love for both of you also to share who you are, what you do, and how we can connect with you further, especially as we are hitting 2026 and all things new.
Sure, I'll go first. So you can find me at newearthconsciousness.com. And what I offer is family constellations work. So which is really powerful work when it comes to unraveling ancestral trauma or really any kind of trauma. Oftentimes we experience things in our lives where we notice either certain patterns repeating or we're stuck in something, like we find ourselves in bad relationships over and over again, or maybe we're struggling with depression or even a health issue that doesn't seem to ever resolve. Oftentimes it's because it's been passed down to you. It didn't start with you. And so family constellation is a really powerful way to restore the orders of love, as Bert Hellinger called it, in your family system, so that you are able to live your purpose, to live to your fullest potential. And there's a couple other modalities that I also work with. One is emotional mind integration, and that has to do with working with the subconscious and, again, dealing with trauma, but in a different way. It's just a different process. But basically, in a nutshell, together, the various modalities I use is to really support people in allowing them to move forward unhindered by the past, unhindered by triggers or patterns that aren't serving them. And yeah, so newearthconsciousness.com. And I'm also on Facebook, Tanya Elena. I think the actual address is facebook.com/Tanya Mama. I created it years ago, so I just haven't changed it. So it's Tanya Mama. You can find me there. I'm there most of the time. So thank you, Bayer, so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Tanya.
Yeah.
Patrice?
Well, my name is Patrice Lockhart, and I am a menopause health and wellness coach. I work with women, helping them to navigate the menopausal journey, and in particular, helping women to understand that menopause as metamorphosis. It's not an ending; it's a becoming. Um, I help women to unravel a lot of what happens when they get into that menopausal transition. A lot of women have dealt with a lot of trauma, and by the time they get into the menopausal transition, they're dealing with so many emotional issues. They are crying, they're doing a lot of things that they're not understanding clearly why. And I help women to unravel what's going on. I help women also during this menopausal transition to understand that their symptoms are a message. It's not your body betraying you. And I'm all about helping women to embrace the fact that menopause is a good thing. I know that's not a common thing to hear, but menopause is a good thing. It's a divinely designed transition in a woman's life. And it brings us into a place of expansion and growth. And I'm passionate about helping women to understand that. And oh, I can be reached menopause survival care .com. Also, that is the same handle for my Instagram, Menopause Survival Care, TikTok as well. And anybody wishing to reach out to me, also, it's Patrice at menopausesurvivalcare.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. And for those who again who are tuning in, we are typically here every Tuesday at 2 p.m. However, this is our last episode for 2025. So we're just so thankful and grateful for all of you who have been tuning in every single week and listening to our speakers. If you want to continue to listen to them or anyone else further, you can find them on the Holistic Sister Circle or join our Holistic Sister Circle Instagram or YouTube channel to continue to connect with any of our guests. So thank you all so much. Have a wonderful Christmas. Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2026.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you. Same
you.
to you,
Bye,
ladies.
everybody.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.